Andrew Bobros here. Hey, I want to talk about Justin Herbert and Kellen Moore and some of the awesome things that are coming out of camp already around what's going on as far as working with Quentin. And guys, I'm going to make another bold prediction, right? I already made a bold prediction around JC Jackson being the comeback player of the year. I do think Justin Herbert has an opportunity to be, guess what? MVP of the NFL in 2023. Let's get into it. All right, folks, as always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. It does help the channel out a lot. Again, we do cover the Chargers and really all things NFL, and so it's always a good time. So why am I so high on this tandem right here? Okay, I'm a big believer in Kellen Moore in general. Obviously, the Chargers are, and Brandon Staley were as well, too, because you remember – we interviewed a number of different people as the offensive coordinator position, and no one was picked. And I remember thinking, like, okay, well, what's going to happen here? Kellen Moore gets scooped up immediately after he was let go by the Cowboys, right? Again, he was the fall guy. You and I both know that. He's a fantastic offensive coordinator, but Mike McCarthy made a very specific decision on him to let him go. And, no fault of him or anybody at this moment. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? So bottom line, Kellen Moore's our guy. Now, why do I like Kellen Moore so much? Well, Kellen Moore is an offensive genius, right? He's the next quarterback himself. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to move the rock around. And it makes things simple for Justin Herbert. I'm going to go into that. There's a really nice athletic video from The Athletic that Daniel Popper did that really goes into this quite often. So I want to talk a little bit about that as well, too. There's also another interesting little video that I want to show. And we're finally seeing some actual reps with our boy Q. And I'll tell you, man, he looks good. We can sit back all day and say, okay, well, we'll see how this plays out. But I'll tell you, Q's looking solid, man. I mean, I'm really excited to see what he's doing here. And, these videos are great. You can see what he's doing. I mean, on all over the Chargers, media page here. But, I mean, this is a great example. Let's see. I'll just hit play. And you can see what he's doing. I like how Q is actually attacking the ball. And making it happen, right? Now, again, I've always said this. Justin Herbert needs people that he can build a dynasty around. Allen and Williams don't get old, folks, right? And at the end of the day, Q and I think Davis are going to be two nice pieces for Justin Herbert for a long time, right? And no more said, boy, you got, defensive minded head coach, Brandon Staley, a wide receiver in the first round, right? Solid, man. I mean, bottom line, I'm excited. Again, you guys remember, I wasn't a huge fan of Quentin when we drafted him. I actually wanted Zay Flowers, largely because I wanted someone to break the zone and just move forward, just go vertical. The nice thing about Quentin, he's big, plus he has better yards after the catch. I think he's still a little bit raw, right? We've talked quite a bit about that, right? He has not been a wide receiver for a very long time, but the good thing is I definitely think this tandem right here, guys, could be Rivers to Gates, Rivers to LT, I mean, this could be the tandem that just lasts a long time. And man, I'm impressed with him. Go back and watch his video, his interview. He's a humble guy. He started talking about his money. I think he basically told his mom to retire. So I think she gave her 2 weeks notice, like a couple weeks ago, and she's going to be done and she's going to be retired. And this man just made it happen. So, I've been very impressed. And guys, look, in Brandon Staley, we trust. I know people like to criticize Brandon Staley, but at the end of the day, he's done a great job. One of the things I would also say, too, Justin Herbert, I love what Brandon Staley said. He's a low-maintenance superstar. And I'll tell you, man, it's the truth. He's not one of those guys that's going to sit around and start, bragging about how good he is. He's just a quiet dude that just wants to go out and be the best for his team. I mean, every time he talks about this team, he doesn't talk about it, in a pretentious way or in a way that, some of these other quarterbacks in the league would be talking about. So let's talk about this for a second. How is Kellen Moore going to unleash Justin Herbert? Why do I think he could be the MVP of the NFL next season, right? I mean, bottom line, I really do believe he can. Look, Kellen Moore understands offense and defense. And if you've seen the Brett Coleman videos, there's one on running and there's one on passing, right? A lot of 11 personnel. They ran 63% of the time at 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers, tight end, and a running back. Kellen Moore also ran a lot of 2 running back sets, which I like, especially with the running back room that we have right now. Austin Eckler. I think we're going to see a lot more of Xander Horvath as well. this next season. I actually think we're going to probably line up Xander Horvath more as a tight end to some degree as well, too. I mean, again, you got to remember Xander Horvath was actually a linebacker converted and then, became a fullback, right? So it'll be interesting to see what Kellen Moore does with him. Now, they are building a very specific playbook, right? If you recall, when I interviewed Josh Palmer was very clear. Why are we going to give you the Cowboys playbook? Well, the Cowboys playbook doesn't matter because Kellen Moore is going to be building a specific playbook for the Chargers and specifically for Justin Herbert. So we may not see as much 11 personnel as you saw, with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, but we're going to see some sort of version. Ultimately, what he's going to come up with is an offense that he believes works best with the personnel that we have here, which is amazing. But again, guys, Herbert has got Jalen Guyton back. Okay. A lot of people were like, okay, whatever, no big deal. Guys, Jalen Guyton is very good. He's done a great job and, for the Chargers, and he's a very inexpensive pickup. Obviously, his injuries last season, which is absolutely horrible, killed us. Pray to God, all of us, please, can we stay healthy? And we still do not have an athletic director for the Chargers. We'll do a video as soon as we find that out. But bottom line, can we stay healthy, right? We got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Now we got Q. Now we got Darius Davis. I guess they call him DD, TCU, but I like Lightning Bug. It sounds great. I just think it's awesome. So, that's my nickname for him, Lightning Bug. Sounds fun. So anyways, but look, I just really, truly believe that Herbert right here with Kellen Moore, this pair, this duo right here, I think you might be looking at the MVP for the NFL next season, folks, right here, Justin Herbert. Look, we all know his talent. Okay. We all know his talent. So let's get into an article that breaks it down fairly good, right? So this is actually an article in The Athletic. I was very impressed with this article. It's a pretty long read, and I'm just going to kind of highlight, a little bit of, what really needs to be discussed on this. And again, Daniel Popper did it. You all know Popper. It's look. I think Daniel Popper's he's got a lot of inside track, which I think is great, right? So again, we all know what happened blew a 27-point lead, right? And I have loved that every single player has talked about that. Okay. Sebastian Joseph Day, Derwin James. Herbert hasn't talked about it a whole lot, I've noticed, but Brandon Staley, he talked about it a ton. I think the last press conference, actually right after the draft, he's like, yeah, that was 138 days away. So he's counting them down. He understands there's a problem if you're a competitor in the NFL and you don't care about losing a 27-point lead. And I even love that our social media team with our schedule release, they started off poking fun that we lost a 27-point lead at the very beginning of the video. Yeah, we're poking on other people, but you know what? We could take it as well too. Look, I'm a big believer that that's going to motivate us moving forward. And again, I really believe with Coach Moore, we're going to see, we're going to really, have a lot happen. So I want to talk a little bit about this specifically. We need to play better. Moore is that guy. More of a marriage between the run and the pass. He's that guy. Creating more explosion plays on early downs. He's that guy. My biggest problem with Joe Lombardi always was that he was very predictable on his runs, very predictable on his pass plays, mostly just moving the chain, right? So he was never trying to get vertical. Now, again, you have to remember, too, we didn't have a lot of speed, right? We lost Guyton. When we had Allen and Williams out there, they're not exactly the fastest guys out there, right? Now we have Q, we have Guyton, and we have Lightning Bug. I'll tell you, it's going to be sick. Like, we're going to have plenty to go, we are going to be extremely inventive on the run and the pass, and I'm excited to see how it plays out. So I think we might even be using some players a little bit more interesting as well, too. So I don't really want to talk too much about this, but what they did, they did a lot of design rushes. I don't want to go too deep into it, but let me talk a little bit about the running game under Moore, just to give you an idea of how he improved that offense. Now, again, one of the things that always frustrated me about the Cowboys specifically was Mike McCarthy was like, Moore always said, hey, I want to light the scoreboard. But Mike McCarthy's like, no, I want my defense to be rested. What does that matter, right? It kind of matters in the NFC because the NFC, I think, plays a different form of football, right? It's a little more Marty ball. Let's run the ball. Let's get our defense a breather, be ready in the fourth quarter, yada, yada. We got to contend with Patrick Mahomes, okay? The Bills, right? And you look at the AFC in general, right? And we have a ton of amazing quarterbacks, all the best quarterbacks in the AFC. And not every team gets to make the playoffs. So we have to play a different brand of football. Now, the good thing is Kellen Moore wants to light up the scoreboard. Now he's got a guy, Justin Herbert, way better than Dak Prescott. Anyone. Bottom line, we all know that Herbert's at least a top 5 quarterback. I mean, think about this for a second. Herbert had fractured rib cartilage week 2, folks. And then week 16, guess what? His non-throwing shoulder, he had a torn labrum and he had surgery after the season. So look, that dude's a tough kid, man. He knows how to stay out there. And, look, I'm just a huge fan of what they did. Now, so let's go into more. Let's talk a little bit about why I think he's going to be the right guy. And let's talk a little bit more about the Cowboys, what he did. Now, again, I don't know that this is what he's going to do with the Chargers, but at the end of the day, I'll keep you guys posted. Again, you heard it here first. Justin Herbert MVP. So 2020, play action, by the way, Cowboys, 30th in the league. 2021, 22nd in the league. 2022, 13th in the league. Again, largely because they were able to run the ball very well in first downs. It made defenses have to bite a little more. So they did really well. Again, the Chargers actually are pretty good as far as, doing a lot of play action. But again, the problem with the play action we had, nobody respected the run. So they didn't care. They're like, okay, they're not going to run the ball because they suck. And that's the truth, right? We were not good at running the ball. We just did not do a good job. And when you start talking about fine tuning the marriage of the run and pass, it was predictable. Guys, it was so predictable, right? And so, they did a very good job of, play action, right? So again, they're moving up, they're doing better. I do think we're going to see a lot more play action this upcoming season. But again, the Cowboys did a really good job of doing a lot of zone runs, counter sweeps, and duos. And I do think we're going to see a lot of that. I think the team that is built, that the Chargers have now, we're going to do a lot more sweeps. Like I can see DD, or AKA Lightning Bug, doing some sweeps, some man in motion. I actually can see us doing a little bit more of a vertical passing game, much like the Dolphins do, right? With Waddle and Tyreek Hill, right? Where they're both just streaking right down the middle, trying to break into the zone, sort of split one of the safeties. Because bottom line, what they do is they just pick one safety, they go to the right and say, okay, fine, who are you going to cover, right? You just go past that safety and you're going to be fine. So, but again, a lot of vertical threats. And again, that's where Lombardi was very bad. He never created vertical threats. But the running game, again, inside zone, middle zone, a lot of counters, GT sweeps, right? These are all things that I do think you're going to see a whole lot of. A lot was ran out of shotgun, which was pretty interesting as well, too. And again, I think it's good for us in this regard as well. I don't really want to hit play here, but you should definitely read this article in deeper, wider details, because now the Cowboys are very different than the Chargers, right? The Cowboys have always spent money on their offensive line. Arguably, they have one of the best offensive lines in the league. Chargers have a very good offensive line, but we're not the best offensive line. So let's just make that very clear. But the good news is I think we're good enough to do what we need to do. Again, in this clip, they're running the 11 personnel, which is interesting, and they're running the ball, which they actually ran only about 33% of the time out of 11 personnel. But again, you have to keep them honest, right? Because these guys right here on the defensive side are trying to do a pre-snap read. Okay, where do we go? What do I need to do? Okay, well, they're 11 personnel, 60-some% of the time. That's actually passing. Well, what are they going to do? And again, you don't want to tip off what you're going to do, because if you tip off, these guys in the NFL are going to know exactly what they're doing, then they're just going to be done deal, right? You're not going to be able to stop them. But again, I do think that we're going to see more of a marriage between run and pass. I actually still think we're probably going to be around 60% pass and about 40% run. And I think that's what Telesco wants. It's everything I've heard Brandon Staley talk about as well, too. Now, but we'll see. You got a stud like Justin Herbert. Why not? But we are going to be doing a lot of play action, and the play action is going to be a lot better. I really do believe that we're going to be, let me put it this way. Our running game is going to be much better than it was last season. Okay. Much better. But again, when you got a guy like Justin Herbert, right, you kind of want to use that guy. You want to get him, you want to get people vertical and really just gash people. Now, again, running the pass, I think we're going to be better at run, a lot of inside zone, a lot of jet sweeps, and a lot of man in motion. And again, the reason why you do man in motion is because you want to find out whether or not they're in zone or they're man, right? Does this guy follow him? Most of the people in the NFL right now are running quarters, right? Which means you have two high safety and then you have your corners. So, it's quarters coverage is very common. It's ultimately what Brandon Staley runs for the most part. We have two high safety, two shell, whatever you want to call it. But bottom line, there's a lot going on here. I don't want to go too deep into it, but again, I think this is where Kellen Moore will definitely help. Well, one of the other things he'll do too is very early down explosiveness. I think the Chargers were actually the worst in the league, if I remember correctly, with explosive rates last season, because we played a brand of keep away essentially, right? Let's just keep the ball and not give it to the offense, right? But that doesn't work, right? The problem and this says it perfectly. You had to make Justin Herbert be a Superman on third down all last season. He had to make the perfect play. Again, Cowboys ranked 24th in explosive plays and first and second down, just below the Chargers. However, the Chargers passed the ball more frequently on early downs for the first 20 minutes of the game. Now, I do think we'll probably be more 50-50 and run and pass on first and second downs. I really do think, and this is pretty good right here, 25th ranked, a 45.9% pass rate. Chargers ranked 5th and 59.9 or 60% at that point on running on first down. My point is we have to be better at not being predictable, right? And I think that's part of my frustration with Lombardi. The nice thing about more is more of a balanced type of run and pass on first down. I mean, he's probably going to come out 11 personnel and they'll run pass half the time. And, I think either way, they're going to make the defense not know what's going to happen. But again, why do I think Kellen Moore is really the guy for us offensively? We all know the arm that Justin Herbert has. But all these plays, if you look at all the plays that Kellen Moore ran, he always had a deep threat every single play, right? He might have one guy maybe slant this way, just do a real quick mesh across, or just that's the check down guy. But everything is vertical. And the thing that I like about it, again, we talk about Fourth and Staley works better with Moore's offense because bottom line, he wants to go for it. Why give the ball back to them when we can score, right? So the attitude is we have 3 shots to get first down and then maybe a fourth. And every single play is going to be to the sticks. No matter what, you are going to get first down or get further. And I like that, right? That's aggressive football, right? That's playing to win, not playing to not lose, right? Which I think that's exactly what Lombardi did. And technically our offense all last season, right? We just did a very bad job of being aggressive. But the thing that's nice about it too, Kellen Moore, if you watch Brett Coleman's video on this specifically, again, he breaks it down so well. He makes it very simple for the quarterback to make the right decision. Now, don't get me wrong. Lombardi did the same thing. The difference was Lombardi was more short distance plays, keeping the ball close and high percentage throws. Problem with that is in the NFL, you need explosive plays, right? You look at it, any statistics you look at, every team that has more explosive plays always does better, right? And that's what we just did not do well last season. We were just very horrible at explosive plays. So it's one of those things where we think about, again, you could watch all these, please watch these videos. They're really great. They do a great job of explaining what we do. One of the other things too is they did do a lot of no huddle. And I actually think this next season, we'll probably do a lot of no huddle as well too. They were, let's see, this is actually a pretty good point, right? Last season, Cowboys were 11th no huddle plays, right? I do think, and the Chargers were 21st in that category. I think they're probably going to do a lot more no huddle as well too, because I really do believe that's going to make more sense moving forward. Again, now the other argument that a lot of Cowboy fans, and by the way, I've had a lot of conversations with people about they were fine that Moore left. These are some of the plays. This is Lombardi 101 right here, right? There are certain plays designed to just catch the ball and fall on the ground, and that's what this is. But we ran this probably 50% of the time at the Chargers last season. Curls, flat routes, just nothing interesting, right? You're just spreading the ball around and you're just kind of playing keep away, right? So a lot of people were kind of criticizing Moore for that, right? It was more of a non-aggressive way of doing, but you got to remember also the Cowboys didn't have wide receivers like the Chargers have. We have Q, we have Darius, aka Lightning Bug. We got, Allen Williams, Guyton. Let's not forget Josh Palmer. Folks, we got a great room. And my point is, there's a lot to be discussed around this type of concept. Now, again, this is more obviously, describing, this play, what you want to see, what you're looking at, what you're identifying moving forward. But again, this is, again, one of the biggest criticisms. I remember a lot of people talking to me about that, the classic stick routes, hitches, curls. The thing about that is, and I'll just say this, and this is why I think we tailored an offense last season around Lombardi with Justin Herbert. Those are high percentage throws. I get the concept that they're high percentage throws. The problem is they're not explosive. And what if the ball hits him, goes up in the air, gets picked off, okay? Dropped, hit the guy, falls on the ground, no yards after the catch. We were almost dead last in the league with yardage after catch last season. So make no mistake, the reason why we got Q is he's led the NCAA last season in yards after catch. So anyways, it's a big part. Now, in Moore's tenure with the Cowboys, he ranked 28th in percentage of receiving yards that came after the catch. Okay. So, again, that was his biggest problem because a lot of stick routes, a lot of these different things. Now, again, you can't always just go vertical. You can't. In the NFL, you can't go vertical because you know what? There's defensive plays. You have to mix it up. But my point is, you go on this one when you're like, it's like 2nd and 5. Okay. That's a great pass play. You're easily going to get it. And then this guy can do an option route, move forward. But my point is, it's you need to be not predictable. Again, Joe Lombardi was ridiculously predictable, and that was my biggest issue. So again, these plays are safe. Again, that's ultimately all Lombardi did last season. Like say on the other side of the ball, Moore is finding more comfortable plays to learn and variety of early down menu, which I think is really good because I really felt like Joe Lombardi pretty much ran the same plays over and over again. He might do wrinkles, he might flip it, he might do a couple different things, maybe do some motion to sort of potentially, confuse the defense. But man, nothing inventive, nothing interesting, and nothing to the point where you're like, okay, well, that was great. So let me land my plane here, folks. I already made the prediction. I think Justin Herbert's going to be the MVP of the season. I think the reason why he will be is because guess what? We got Kellen Moore. He's going to drive the ball downfield. He's got all the weapons he needs. We got a great running game, plenty of good running backs. Our offensive line is as good as we've ever had. We got more wide receivers than we've ever had, right? And the good news is, even if we have some injuries, we got plenty of guys that can step up, right? So I think you're going to see a lot of rotation. You're going to see a lot of people getting moved in and out. I think there's going to be a lot of times where Allen and Williams are probably going to sit. If there's any type of injuries, great. Q's going to go out there. I want you to chill. We got a lot of games we're playing this season. So I'm really interested to see how they mix the run and the pass, play action. I think we're going to see a lot of really inventive plays. And again, Kellen Moore was very clear. I want to light up the scoreboard. The thing that I also like about Brandon Staley was very clear in all of his press conferences. He does not want to interfere with the offense. The offense is the offense. He wants the offensive coordinator to run it. So, guys, my bold prediction, Justin Herbert, MVP. What do you guys think? As always, Andrew Bolt Bros. See you guys in the next one.